The even story of the children of Israel is a very long story. But out of this long story, it's a supernatural long story. What have I learned? Friends, what have I learned? Just from Egypt, also what happened in Egypt, all through to right now, after we have crossed the Jordan River. What have I learned about the children of Israel and their God, my God? Every time the children of Israel obeyed their God and into the promised land, God was faithful with them, and He made them defeat our enemies. Every time they disobeyed God, the God who have faithfully displayed His awesome power like no other God, like no any other God which will ever come and will ever be. The God who delivers them from the grips of death in Egypt and kills the Egyptian army, or the best Egyptian army, and on the Red Sea. And God makes them walk through the Red Sea on dry ground with Moses leading them, and God Himself as a pillar of fire and the pillar of cloud in the day and a pillar of fire at night. There's no other God who can do that. Every time they trusted their God and obeyed their God, they overcame their problems. And every time they complained about their needs, God provided their needs. As a matter of fact, the Bible records very clearly, as we have read, as we know, most of the theologians who know this story very well. Anyway, you don't have to be a theologian to know about the deliverance story of Israel. You just need to read the Bible and to pray, and God will speak to you. But it's a good thing to study the Word of God, even in a theological school, because there's some people who do that, who are called by God to teach His Word, and who know the details about this. I'm just walking through the journey, because the journey is my Christian walk, and I want God to deliver me. As I mentioned before I started this story, deliver me in my slavery in Egypt, right here in America, Columbus, Ohio. The point is this: the children of Israel, they never, even their shoes, they were never torn. Their clothes were never torn. And it is only those who complained and disobeyed Moses as the leader of God, those who disobeyed and worshipped other gods when they knew that there's a true God, their God, who was with them and gave them what they wanted, and they spoke to them every day, and they saw Him work miracles in their lives, and they even defeated enemies. The God that disobeyed, it's only those who disobeyed and they went ahead and did an abomination of creating another God, building another God in form of a calf, golden calf. They are only those ones. They are the ones who never went to the promised land. 20 years and over. They all died 40 years in the desert, because God is a jealous God. Yes, He's a merciful God. He's a caring God. It's the same God who is protecting the children of Israel. It's the same God who is killing the enemies of Israel and even the Israelites who does not obey Him. He's a jealous God. It's a consuming fire. He does not want to be worshipped with other gods. He demands reverence alone. That's why God delivered his people from Egypt to come in the desert and worship him and live for him. He set them apart. He chose them from many nations and called them chosen people of priesthood. People, and I'll make through you, through your fathers Abraham, I will make you a great nation, and all the nations of the world will be blessed because of thee. Because what God blesses, no man can curse. Why then do we disobey our God after all what he has done? Because we are human beings. We are full of sin. We have a lot of weaknesses. That does not mean that we should worship other gods. A very important reminder: other gods we worship, other than the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the Hebrew God, the God of the only true God, the Hebrew God of the Bible. Other gods we worship than that will cause us to die. We will die prematurely. We will cause communities to die, people, because we worship an abomination, and a God does not want to be worshipped with other gods. He's a jealous God. He's a God for provision. He provides for his people, his children. It doesn't matter, friends, what we're going through. Oh, you don't know what I'm going through. Oh, you don't know my circumstances. You don't know. Yes, I don't know. Our God knows. He knows exactly what we need, how we need it, however much we need it, and the when, and the where. He knows everything, and he's ready to provide and bless us with all spiritual needs, physical needs, because he is more than a loving Father. Oh, what he needs is just trust him, obey in him, walk with him, live righteously, worship him alone, and leave everything to God. Moses figure is a true figure of a true servant, a true leader, whose duty was to seek God and to follow his commands, and they followed, except for the sin of anger, which caused him not to see, not to go to the promised land. He saw the promised land, and then God was his best friend. He talked to God like no man who will ever talk to God face to face, and then God used him mightily. But God, we need to control anger. We need to control our emotions. We need to control ourselves. We need to walk, be led by the Holy Spirit of God, that we may not gratify the charge of our flesh. We need to trust God and God alone. You need to trust God and God alone. God will trust you and they will use you. Now that Moses is gone, and God buries him at the top of the hill. God is using Joshua, a new covenant. And since he doesn't want his children to forget, he doesn't want them to die when they're on the promised land. He wants them to prosper the promised land. And because he knows they were taught about his mighty works by their fathers and their mothers and their grandmothers and their whatever. He doesn't want them to forget him and turn their ways away from him and worship other gods. That's why God comes and is carried in the hearts so that the children of Israel can see him and not lose faith in him and worship other gods and complain and fear. He wants them to build a trust in him through the covenant. That's one important revelation I'm learning now. May God bless his word.